always been kind of tension between Central and North.
Basically a turf war between two different groups here in Richmond.
It's about North versus Central. We ain't fighting over drugs or money. It's about I'm hurting and I'm gonna hurt you back.
The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which, but their children's end not could remove, is now the 2 hours traffic of our stage, which, if you with patient ears attend, what hears shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend. Welcome to my city.
Wow. Man, that's a clip from a movie that's premiering July 19th. Opens in theaters July 19th. It's called Romeo Is Bleeding. It stars Dante Clark, who's from where I'm from, had to be Northern California, Richmond to be exact. Spearheaded by the one and only, the legendary, my muse, the guy that got me to be motivated to do what I do today. My hero right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Stop all that shit, nigga. Stop it. You know, when you old niggas start saying stuff like that, it's like they trying to put you to sleep or something. You know, get out of here, man. He inspired me. Stop, man. Stop it, man.
The Superman of hip-hop, the one and only Russell Simmons, ladies and gentlemen. I know, Russ. I get tired of that, too, man. If I get called Uncle Sway, Russ.
Yeah, all that. You don't want that, nigga. Keep stay away from old niggas if you can help it. Like, you having me on your show is you taking a risk, nigga. Fucking with old people, man. Stay away from them motherfuckers.
Okay, that's not true. No, man.
But listen, this nigga here, right here, this one, right
Dante
here.
Clark.
Oh, man, he's like, there's so much struggle in our communities, so much suffering, right? And the pain is real and it's not being expressed. And so that leads to a lot of violence. And the violence is there already, but just, you know, art is a way to look inside, right? And everything from stillness is good, and everything from the noise and the stuff from the outside is bad, and that's real. And so a person like him, with, you know, family members being killed and violence all around him and all that, taking art and transforming his life is a story that we know a lot about. We've seen it a lot. You know, you see it every day. So his story, this movie, you know, I had a funny story. I had Captain Dennis Muhammad, who does our Peacekeeper programs in the hoods around the country, and I had this guy Bruce Roberts, who's a songwriter, lived next door to me in Beverly Hills. Bruce Roberts is Captain Dennis, like 800 pounds and 600 feet, and Bruce Roberts like 5 foot, right? And he and his boyfriend are sitting there, and Captain Dennis is sitting there on my couch, and they're watching this movie, and they're both crying like babies.
Wow, the Romeo Is Bleeding movie.
I mean, crying like babies because it's such a beautiful story of transformation and survival, you know. And so I'm just thrilled to work for this guy, man.
Dante Clark, man, congratulations on this. And being from where you're from, you know, put it in perspective. Like, I live in Oakland, but Richmond and Oakland are 20 minutes away from each other. So the environment is extremely similar. And this focuses on the friction between North and Central Richmond.
Yep.
Okay, put that in context. You got to give a little bit of the history because this has been ongoing for decades.
Oh, man, in the documentary we kind of touch on that topic.
Yeah,
we feel like each generation has an origin of what started. Some in the '60s, some in the '70s, and the '80s, and then the '90s. But for the 2000 kids, they don't really know what we fighting over. So as my neighborhood, North Richmond and Central Richmond, they're separated by a train track.
Yeah,
like literally. So our neighborhoods is like walking distance 3 minutes apart, and that's pretty much every neighborhood throughout all the ghettos. You funking with the person that's really across the street from you. So I grew up all over Richmond, but predominantly North Richmond. And a lot of the young people I work with in the spoken word group that we was doing was from Central and South Richmond. So it's like our cousins and brothers is shooting at each other, but we coming together 3-4 times a week to write poetry about what's going on that's affecting us in our day-to-day lives.
How has that helped?
Me personally, it saved my life because all I had was the streets. My mom's wanted me to go to college, and I respect her for it and all of the people that was bringing me up in the educational program, but I was conflicted because my pops was in the streets, but my mom's wanted me to go this way. My friends was going to college, and my other friends is toting guns, so I walked that fence. And the only thing that I had, because I didn't do sports, was to write about what I was seeing. And from that, I found myself. And then from finding myself, I was able to speak to what everybody else was going through. And then it gave them the power to speak for themselves. And then it brought a lot of us together.
Put it in perspective. I Am Sue and those guys, where are they from?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh,
They
okay.
say they from Richmond, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't know him.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
know
them
everybody in
personally.
Richmond.
I don't know everybody. I feel like everybody's connected, but I don't know everybody individually.
Have artists like this work you doing? You keeping it in the trenches to help people in the trenches. Have any artists? Because you also part of the Raw organization, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is Raw? And then have any artists came and just kind of lent their celebrity to you?
No artist has came and lent their celebrity to the Raw situation. But Raw Talent stand for Richmond Artists with Talent, and it was started by Molly Rayner, who was my spoken word mentor at the time of my senior year in high school, and myself. So we came up with this organization. It wasn't really an organization. It was just a group name to give to a bunch of young people who was bringing together weekly to do writing workshops. But nobody really came and lent anything. We just kind of wrote and just promoted it out to the community, and then people just start coming to our shows.
Russell, let me ask you this, man. Isn't that kind of how it all got started? Like a disenfranchised people came to, want to express themselves, didn't see representation on TV, movies, otherwise. And ain't that kind of how the culture got started?
Over and over again.
Yeah.
Every time there's something new, it comes from rebellion to being locked out of everything else, It's like, that's not mine. What can I do for me, And that's how it gets started over and over. And this example of him, and he really, you should, when you see the film, you'll see the people close to him. You'll see people die during the short time that they made the film.
Wow.
You'll see, his transformation as a human being, when they talk about it, and it's really inspiring. But it's like, that's what people do. The truth is, what the world does, the world is on the outside. There's nothing on the outside. It's all from the inside out, And poetry and art in general has you look inside. And silence, is a way that an artist can, you can't really, it's not celebratory. There's no music playing here. It's like what's inside, And so that's what makes spoken word a little different from hip hop, most rap, because the artist who looks inside has to come speak to silence, knows he's being listened to, and he knows he's listening in a way that he wouldn't be listening analytically, without too much noise, but just enough discernment rather than judgment to let out truth, that comes from the heart. Without anything that stops it from, So that's just a beautiful thing. I mean, it's something called Nada Yoga, which is the yoga of sound. And sound is the way it brings you to enlightenment, or to brings you to a brighter place, And that's by anything that's still. The still mind is happy. The noisy mind is sick. That's just a fact. And so poetry, you have to really look inside. You really got to let go of all the noise to do it. That's why we have, like yesterday, we had 2 days ago, we had our Rush Foundation. You said you were there, right? Yeah. And we've been doing it for 20-something years, and we try to underrate art education for kids. Trump is pulling all the money from these programs, and there's so much shit happening to us right now. Like, we need these voices.
Yeah.
Because there's so much happening in the news. We're watching Trump Jr. While he's doing that, they're pulling the money out the arts. And without art, schools are like prisons. Math and science don't mean shit. The imagination is everything. If you can't imagine your step in front of the others, you don't move.
Yeah.
So it's about the imagination and innovation. That's how kids imagine themselves out of struggle. And it's sad that there's no art. So yesterday we had our program, Chuck D performed.
For Public Enemy.
We honored Stephen Hill, honored Chuck D, Leo Cohen. We had a really music-oriented thing.
You were there, Mike. What was it like?
Yeah, it was fantastic. This is one of my 5th, 6 years going. So salute to you, Russell Simmons, for all the work that you do. Not only do you advocate for hip hop pioneer, but you're really advocating for the arts and education and being the supplement for where the budget has cut off, not just in the Trump era, but in other presidents and also local mayors and city levels. So you provide that gap. But the question I have for you, since you've been so strong advocate in that, we now see artists such as Jay-Z, we see Kanye, we see Swizz Beatz really advocating their song lyrics for art. In a situation of someone like Dante, do you think now this will open up within the black and brown community when we have to make that decision to go to college? Our parents might become more supportive of us doing the arts in order for us to have a lane to express all these issues that are happening as a way of therapy to what you're talking about.
Here's what I feel like. The work that we've done for all these years, 20-some-odd years with the Rush Foundation, underwriting art education programs, it's not, we made a lot of famous artists, which is shocking. When they started naming all the people that came through Rush Galleries that really had their first show with us. It's pretty phenomenal that we were able to do that. But that's not why I go to work every day, to make new artists. I love showing artists of color. That's what we do. And that's great. But also, just by practicing and appreciate art, you get that moment. I talked about stillness and silence, where you get a glimpse of the soul, which is where everything exists. So that practice makes men do anything, makes women do anything that they can imagine, not just become artists, And so I've seen lots of people that come back from their Rush programs and say, look what I'm doing now, and I have this family and I'm making this money and I'm providing for them because they had an outlet. Dante, he's a teacher. He teaches art, right? That's what he's doing now, aside from writing these. I want him to spit before we leave.
No, that's how.
I know you all let him escape without that.
You can't live without.
Right. I want you to do what you did earlier on Good Morning America.
Damn, you was on Good Morning America?
Well, do that.
Do it better, though.
All right. He can't do it better. It's what he getting ready to do. So the point I'm making is that you can't do it. I mean, ain't nobody, and you look at him, it's like, wow, that's beautiful that somebody can have that kind of insight in their community. We all have it, but we don't all let it out. And we all don't know how to touch it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's critical that we get more people paying attention to the arts because the imagination is God. It's a great statement by one of my mentors. And
imagination is God.
Yeah, that's a Paramahansa Yogananda. It's a beautiful statement, and it's true. You imagine it, and it's real. As long as you have faith and dedication, it becomes real. Unless you're a miracle worker, you got to put your work in. But when you imagine it, it's true. Okay. But you got to do it.
BB.
Yeah, I watched the movie last night, and it's crazy because a lot of times you see these documentaries and they chronicle what's going on or whatever the focus is. But in this one, you actually lose one of your students in about the middle of the film, where it shows you just how hard the violence is in the city of Richmond and things like that, because this was somebody who was close to you were teaching him, he was trying to make a change and things like that. But even at the end of the movie, after all was said and done, you said that this isn't even going to change anything, that the violence is not going to stop. It helps to get people mind distracted, but what's the answer then if even this isn't going to potentially stop the violence and the crime and the homicides?
I feel like it's already been stated before by so many different people, but it start with you. And I mean, when it start with you, it's like your thoughts and words become action. So if you think love, speak love, then you will be love. And I feel like that's the answer. Anything else you try to do outside by voting or donating money, that's like, those are tools to be used. But if you don't have the mind to change, if you don't speak change, because what you speak, it becomes repetition. You know what I mean? Then it goes into the mind. So the mind and the words and your actions got to follow that. That's intention. So until everybody who's in positions of power move with that intention to align the body, mind, words, and deeds, ain't nothing going to change. And I realized that through the process of me being an activist trying to, we need to stop the violence. And I realized, like, hold up, I still got thoughts that I need to check. My words ain't always righteous and my moves ain't always perfect. So hold on, I got to sit back and be in one with love with myself first. And then that's what I meant by that.
But it's life-saving, though. I don't want to discount, because you said, well, yeah, one person at a time. We got programs all over, peacekeeper programs. Captain Dennis cried when he seen this movie. Captain Dennis about 6'12". That's fucking big, fat. Captain Dennis? Yeah. He working in the hood on our peacekeepers programs, and he was sitting there. And Bruce Roberts is a songwriter, lives next to my house in Beverly Hills. Little guy, him and his boyfriend are sitting there. They about a foot tall, and weigh about a half. And they don't look nothing alike. They sit in the room, and both of them crying like bitches when they watch the movie. Man. Both of them was like teared up. Like, Captain Dennis, stop it, man. Like, yo, he's like, yo, man, Russ, this just, and it's because it's such a beautiful movie. But
where can people see it, though? Is it a limited release, or?
It's going to be a limited release in the beginning, and get a broader release, and you're going to see it all over. I'm going to make sure I spread it everywhere. Everybody, okay. I'm going to put it in front of everybody.
Okay,
eventually.
Cool.
Everybody's going to see this movie.
July 19th, it's opening in theaters in New York. Which theater?
IFC.
Okay, cool. And plus, Russ will be, tweeting it, and you can go and follow you on social. Give out your social, then Uncle Rush, and then give out yours, Dante.
Instagram, Don Black, DONBLAK, one word.
All right, man. I'm inspired by you, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it,
say something. Let them spit something.
I'm gonna let them end the show. You're gonna end the show.
Okay.
Real quick. How did you meet with Russell though? Like, what's with Russell Simmons, man?
Honestly, that was Jason Zeldis, the director of the film, and Michael Klein. We had already produced the film. It already came out of film festivals 2015. We've been traveling.
Won a gazillion awards.
Different film festival circuits. And then I guess they sent it to Russ. He saw it, and he jumped on board. And then they told me, like, oh, Russ, he interested. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I
Fucked
mean?
the movie up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I definitely
just put your name on it.
No, I re-edited.
it.
I did a lot of re-editing and stuff. And I was like, because artists don't like that mostly, but but the director who's not in this room, Jason, is brilliant, and he took whatever ideas I had to make it better and made it much better than I could have imagined. So the movie is, again, if you look at the trailer, you'll see the trailer's available. You can go right now. Where you go?
On YouTube, really?
No, YouTube. Look for the trailer. You'll see
Romeo
it.
Bleeding.
Romeo Bleeding. Look at that trailer, and you'll see that there's a zillion awards that they've already won from the festivals. So that's an encouraging mark. But again, I'm going to make sure that everybody sees it. We're going to launch it, in New York and L.A. and a few limited theaters. But everybody's going to see this movie. I'm going to make sure of it.
Romeo Is Bleeding. Look for it, man. We want to thank our guest before you spit. Bella Thorne just called us her new song with Prince Fox.
Yeah.
That's available on iTunes. Regina Hall for coming in today. Girls Trip is the new movie coming out this Friday. Kevin Lyles. Kevin came up here today, Russ.
Did.
I've seen him. I've seen him.
He got the new Freestyle 50 competition. Tomorrow is going to be the launch. So make sure you be on the lookout for that.
You hosting the final?
I'm going to host the final in August. I'm going to be hosting the final. Kev may be hosting
30th.
On the 30th.
Yeah.
August 30th. Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
For committing me to it. All right. And then we're going to end the show like this. I'm going to let you go a cappella. All right? Dante Clark.
That's all it is. You ain't gonna press. You didn't with that shit.
As morning dew glazes across cracked bottles and torn plastic and uncultivated soil, in a crammed place rumbles an appetite deep inside Section 8 housing beneath a rusted ceiling where iron tears in a quivering pit bellows off the clip notes to God. Here lies a brown boy who awakes to a moldy frost setting into his bones. The third morning this week he struggled to climb out from his weeping puddle, search through rubble for watered ground to plant his weary feet. It's the pieces of watching your best friend head explode in front of you. The sight, mind-blowing to say the least, don't you think? With scrawny shoulders and sinking faith, this brown boy carries 17 caskets and unfinished homework on his back as he drags himself through a thick cloud of purple smoke to stagger down the condemned pathway to the end of your classroom, cuffed in a black hooded sweatshirt made obituary there in the corners where he fold, crumble at each tick of that clock, knowing that in here or out there on that block we waste, where the living usually forgets about the dead. Or was that why these teachers don't see us? If metallic locks and slave ships be the only things planned in your lessons, then how can you free us, huh? How can you reach us with firm grip if your hands are full from holding on to Eurocentric lectures? They treat us absent when they don't feel connected to our presence, huh? Can't call on raised hands of ghosts, so we float. Hallway glide to daunt at locker room gatherings for a post. We host school grounds as purgatory. Pretend that diploma will exempt us from a white man's gun. Street sweep this poverty and teach me back my native tongue, like really though. Like really know the people you're supposed to be serving. Or is it that you do know, and you are afraid of our awakening?
Dante Clark.
One day.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.